Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. Self-driving cars are already on the road around the world, with pilot projects even in Toronto and Calgary. So why not here in British Columbia? Here to explain is my counterpart on the Soapbox Social panel, which you can find on CBC Radio's On the Coast with Gloria Makarenko, representing Acumen Law. She is Kyla Lee, and this is Kyla's Court. So Kyla, my car is allowed to park itself. It's allowed to do most of the work when I'm on the highway, but why aren't I allowed to use the self-driving function on my car?
You cannot use full self-driving on your vehicle because under the BC Motor Vehicle Act, the levels of self-driving automation that are currently permitted only permit those levels that assist the driver in doing tasks, but still require full supervision of the driver. So this would be like a level 2 vehicle as it's defined in the Society for Automotive Engineers.
So level 3 is where you could have full self-driving car.
Yeah, that's where it starts to be. The car does the work and the driver does not really supervise.
And this all falls under the jurisdiction of the provincial government. So this is on David Eby's desk, effectively.
This is on David Eby's desk, although there are still, Transport Canada regulations as well involved in vehicles. But yes, this is a provincial decision. Roads and highways are exclusive jurisdiction of the provinces.
Now, we know that Whimo, which is basically like Uber, but it's robot chauffeurs in a sense, it's automated cars. Whimo is actively lobbying the provincial government to change the Motor Vehicle Act. And we also have Tesla drivers who have this function in their vehicle. Do you think Whimo or these Tesla drivers will move the needle here in British Columbia?
I don't anticipate they will. I think we've seen historically, BC has always been very behind the 8 ball when it comes to technology and the Motor Vehicle Act. And I don't think there's enough of a hue and cry from the public for Whimos when we already have a very active rideshare industry. We already have taxi companies. We're only very new in British Columbia to having rideshares available across the province. So bringing in something like Whimo with a lot of unanswered safety questions is not something I expect the province to do for quite some time.
Interesting. Now, let's say you have one of these Teslas that has a self-driving function and you break the law and you put your car into that function. What are the penalties? What risks do you face?
There's a couple different things that the police can do. They can ticket you for operating a vehicle at level 3 or above, but that ticket probably wouldn't stand because that offense is for a vehicle that's classified that way by the Society of Automotive Engineers, which Tesla isn't currently classified, even though it can perform those functions. It's very weird.
Weird, okay.
Yes. So the ticket that the police currently issue in those circumstances is driving without due care and attention. Under the Motor Vehicle Act, you are required to exercise your care and attention over the operation of the vehicle.
If you're sitting in the driver's seat, though, can they actually tell if you're driving or not?
Well, if you're asleep or reading a book or fully engaged in text messaging or something else, yes, they could tell.
In other places around the world, where do they draw the line when it comes to liability? So let's say your automated car gets into an accident or commits a motor vehicle offense like speeding. Who is liable? The car, like the manufacturer, or the person in the car? How does this work?
Different jurisdictions do it differently. So there's 3 different approaches that are used. One is that the driver is always liable because the driver should be paying enough attention to intervene and take over should the self-driving fail.
Right.
The other is that the manufacturer is liable. And then there's a split liability that's used in places like Germany, where it depends on what the actual reason was. Was it driver error or was it vehicle manufacturer error? And they split the liability based on who's actually responsible for the problem.
So it doesn't sound like there's consensus. This is something that British Columbia and Premier Eby, if he chooses to pursue it, would have to figure out.
Well, probably not, because in BC we have no fault insurance. So they don't actually have to care about who's at fault, because if anybody's injured in an accident, they fall under ICBC's lovely enhanced care benefits, and they're going to get the same thing either way.
Interesting. Any other considerations before BC advances on self-driving cars?
I think I would like to see what the moral decision making of the cars are when there's a no-win situation. How does the car know who to hit and what to do? I'd like to know more about who's programming those types of decisions and what they are.
Those sound like very dark scenarios that you're outlining.
But those are the things we have to think about when we're talking about road safety. We have to think about the worst case scenario.
Wow. Kyla, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your insights tonight.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Tamara Taggart, Steve Soretsky, and cool Kyla Lee for tonight's program. If you have any hot takes of your own, if someone is hassling your life away, shoot me an email, mo@thisisvancolor.com. Also, I'm on all the antisocial socials at VanColor. Until next week, stay colorful, friends. Peace.